Welcome to the podcast. It's Mr. Ish. We're here at Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club, Kildare Clubhouse, season number 7. And guess what? Got the older guys, so it's the Brent's Club podcast, podcast number 3. We're going on a roll today. It's gonna be a serious. I think every time we do Brent's Club, it's gonna be a serious podcast. But we've been having fun with it. So let's learn from this. Let's try to be as open as possible, and let's introduce ourselves. Give me your name and your age.
My name is Dylan, and I'm 13.
Dylan, 13.
Yeah.
Welcome to Teenagers. Next,
My name's Adrian. I'm 13.
Adrian, aka Big Papi.
Ooh.
Who's next?
I'm Julian and I'm 12.
Julian, aka Barry White. All right, this is my cast for today. Today's podcast, another Brent's Club podcast. I know we did a podcast about substance abuse. We did a little introduction on the Brent's Club and stuff like that. So we're gonna be touching some serious topics. So hopefully you guys are as open as I want you to be for these conversations. Today's conversation is just about different drugs. Different drugs, maybe different drugs that you've heard of, some things that you might know, some things that you think you know about them. What's the first drug that you ever heard of? I guess I could start. I'm a little older, so who's touching the microphone? So I think the first drug I've ever heard of is probably similar to the ones that you guys have heard of. Is weed. I think weed was you know back in the days, as you would say, 70s, 80s, and even to now, it was a popular drug. So weed was the first drug that I've ever heard of. So what's the first drug you ever heard of?
Um, the first drug I ever heard of was like a blunt.
A blunt?
Yeah.
All right, for those people in Idaho that don't know what a blunt is, please describe to them what a blunt is. Because I may say a joint. A joint was back in the days. But describe to them. You know what a blunt is? I mean,
Like
you know,
weed, right?
huh?
Weed.
Yeah, but it's described to them because it's weed, but is
It's
presented
like
in
it's
in
like
a different way.
like a cigarette.
All right, well, I'll explain to them then. A blunt is basically when they take a cigar and they cut the cigar, they take out the filling of the cigar, they put the weed inside and they roll it up so it looks brown. So you're using the wrapper of the cigar, and then you put the weed in the inside. That's why it looks brown. So that's the street name for it is a blunt. What about you, sir?
So, mine was just really weed.
Really weed?
Weed, just weed.
So is that something that you just learned from the streets,
Mm,
from music? You actually
uh,
saw it. Uh,
I actually saw it. So, the first time I learned about it, I was like around 6 or 7.
that's early.
I was walking with my mom, and I saw people smoking, and I was like, "What is that smell?" And my mom was like, "That's something you call weed. It's something that people sometimes smoke."
All right. Well, you probably saw those guys sometimes smoking it all the time. That's the only issue. But it was nice that your mother was very open with you and then try to hide it from you and say it was like an instant. Like my mom was, you know how I don't know if you guys have ever go to these stores that they have like these little sticks that you light up and they kind of give like a smell.
Yeah.
So when I was small, my mom's told me that weed was an instant, that it was just like a special smell. And I was like, oh, I like those instants. Those instants are kind of cool. So some parents lie to you, but it was nice that she told you straight up what it was. AKA Barry White, what was your first thing with drugs? Where you
Mine,
learned about it
mine's
from
kind of lame. It's aspirin.
aspirin? Okay, well, it's a drug. If anything that you take to
Overdose.
overdose and you take too much of, I mean, could be a problem. Some people take painkillers and that's how they're introduced to harder drugs and stuff like that. So painkillers or pharmaceuticals, stuff that they over the counter stuff that they give to you to sometimes just relieve some type of pain. Stop moving the microphone. You're all over the place. Why is it clicking? Um, so those are sometimes the first drugs that you introduced to. Is there any other drugs that you guys have seen, know about, have heard on songs, and are curious about, or anything like that? Yeah, you could just talk. No raising your hands
Alright.
here.
So
We're having the
I know a few, just like a
and
few.
set them off. Let's see what you
Alright.
got.
So the first one is aspirin, the one that he said. Perk 30s, Xanax,
Oh, you going? Okay, you going to the perks? Okay,
uh,
Percocets, baby.
heroin,
Harold,
Only
oh, you in the
Percocets.
deep
cocaine,
drugs. What else? What was the last one?
cocaine.
Okay,
Yeah,
cocaine.
yeah.
Um, uh, okay, so you talking about? But you heard a lot of these. You heard a lot of these in songs, because it's like
Yeah.
they praise all these things in these songs. That you guys listen to. I listen to smooth jams like when you first walked in here. That's baby making music. I don't listen to that stuff that you guys listen to.
Baby making music.
So a lot of them are a lot of these drugs, or at least the names of them are introduced to you through songs. Is there anything that you got, Dylan, that you've heard of, or besides weed, or anything else if you've seen out there in the streets? I don't know. I don't. Some people consider hookah a drug, but
That's
I,
drug.
I don't know. Hookah's like it's like smoking a cigarette, aka a cigar, but not really. Um, it's. I mean, they could put other things in it, so you never know. But yeah, I don't consider hookah that much of a of a drug like that. But
Oh,
anything else besides weed and these all these hard medicines that this
so
guy
hookah
just told
no?
us, I don't think hookah is. I mean,
I mean, I
hookah's
said it.
all right,
I
all right.
said it.
What else? What else you think is a big time drug, especially in our community? You have any other big time drugs that you ever think about? Go ahead, bro. It seems that this conversation is me and you, bro.
uh,
I think I don't know if we
I'm pretty
if we out there in the streets too much or something, but we
I'm pretty
we
sure
definitely know the convo.
I'm pretty sure weed pens.
Weed pens, or like the little vape pens, the little oils. Yeah, those oils are all over the place, man. That's I don't know what they have, like, I guess concentrated, um
Mm,
what they call that they have inside um I was gonna say PCP, but that's Angel Dust. They have just the weed is concentrated into oil form, and that's how they smoke it. So those are like very popular now. It's just because you could, like, you don't have to take that smell of weed. You could just go somewhere, take like two puffs, walk away, and it's not like a whole thing is around you. So those are very popular, especially I would say more in work environments for adults, because it's not like you could go outside and light up a blunt or a joint and be out there smoking for like 5, 6 minutes. So this is something that, oh, I'm going to the store, boom boom, you take two hits and you keep it moving. Nobody really knows. So I think that's why they're popular. Those pens. Anything else?
Uh,
I come from the crack area, so I'm gonna let you know my
marijuana.
marijuana. But marijuana is weed, bro.
Yeah.
It's just
I
a whole
don't
bunch of
know,
different
bro.
names. All right, it's good that you don't know, and let's keep it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Let's keep it
But
that.
the thing is that you also want to get educated on the stuff that's out there. I come from the back in the days, so I think that the worst drug I've seen, in the sense that it affected many people in the neighborhood, was crack. Crack was really, really bad when I was growing up. You see people that you used to respect and say good morning to, and maybe carry their packages up and call them auntie or uncle. You see them, on this drug, and it totally changed them. It changed, the way they acted. It changed. You couldn't be close to them because they were stealing. It was just like a really, really bad drug. Um, and when I was young, I think I was almost out of high school. I think I used to come home because I was a DJ, so I used to come home late, and it was about maybe 2:30, 3 in the morning. So I must have been like 16 at least. I used to see like a line around the corner, like if you were buying tickets or you were waiting online to buy a new pair of sneakers. You know how you guys be like, yo, I'm waiting on this line to buy these Jordans, and the line be around the block. It'll be kind of like halfway like that, but people were just waiting to get drugs. And now that I think of it, it was really, really sad. It was a and then you see all types of people on there. There'll be a teacher on there. There'll be, all types of people that you be like, oh, I know that person, and they just, we call it copying drugs. So that was a major thing, I guess, when I was younger. So I would say that was a very hard drug. Some people say that that I guess weed is the introductory drug, and it gets you to do other things. That's why a lot of people used to fight for weed not to be legalized, because they figure that they were like, oh, when you smoke weed and then it leads to this, it leads to that, it leads to this. Um, I guess they say the same thing about alcohol. I guess everything in a certain, if you have too much of it, could affect you guys. Have you guys had anything, anybody in your lives affected by any of these substances, drugs, or or maybe even alcoholism? It's me and you, bro. Let's go back and forth.
Um,
You know how we doing it?
so it was just like a family friend, and he was like really close to our family, and like
You saw the changes in his
yeah,
life.
not changes because like we had to stop being friends. Like my mom didn't like want him around me and my little
Yeah, it's
brother.
tough.
So it was the only reason that we found out about it. Because it was doing heroin was because I was at a park with my friends and I saw him like doing it, and then he just stayed, sat down, like fell asleep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys know the effects of heroin, but one of the things that it does is that it could be smoked, it could be injected. I think, depending on what you do, some people inject it and gets there faster to the system. The drug makes you like a zombie kind of. It makes you like really like your eyes are closing, sleepy. But it's most noticeable because when you see them, it seems like they're about to fall, but they never fall. It's like some craziness that they all bent out and they almost touching the floor, and you be like, "Oh, that guy's gonna fall," but they just won't fall. It's like it's a really fast high, and it really really affects all types your whole body. So heroin is a very strong drug, and it's something not to play with. I mean, most of these drugs are something not to play with. Um, have you guys ever had to take anything like if you had an operation, had to take some painkiller or anything like that? Well, you
Yeah.
remember the drug that you had to take?
Uh,
Um,
so not like a drug, like
I mean, it could be a liquid and it could be a drug.
no, not like like a lot of, but it's mostly when I have like a lot of like headaches or
Oh, okay.
like pain in my body. My mom just gave me like two
T-
painkillers.
Two painkillers, like Tylenol, over the counter type of thing, a migraine headache ones. I recently had to get an operation and they gave me oxycontin. Um, I had to take it one time and because I was really really in pain, and I work in a school, so I took it and I told my principal, I was like, "Yo, I gotta take this pill, man." And I'm one of those people that if I take an aspirin, I'm okay, but if I take like a Benadryl or something like that, I'm a zombie. Like my body doesn't react to any type of drugs well. So I took this OxyContin and I was sitting on my desk and I literally was falling asleep. My head was like head bobbing all over the place. One of my friends was taking a video of me, so I probably have the video somewhere. But it was like it's that strong. Like it does numb your body, but it affects people in different ways. Um, that's how it affects me. My wife takes, I can't even tell you how many drugs she takes. Um, Probably 15 pills a day. And it's for everything. It's like for pain, for headaches, for depression, for this, for that. It's just a lot of pills, and a lot of it comes from the cancer treatments and stuff like that she has. So some of it is extremely helpful because if not, she won't be able to function through the day. But I think that anything at if it's not if the doctor doesn't give you a prescription and you're just doing it on your own, it's going to affect your body in some type of way. So you got to be aware that those pills that they give you, those are also extremely uh, addictive. Like I know that if I was to take that OxyContin and I was to like it, it'll be you get addicted to it. And because of my body size, I guess they give me stronger because a lot of it the pills that they give you is by weight or by size. So I'm a big guy, so I guess they figured, oh, we have to give him a big dosage. No, you don't. Just give me a very light dosage. I get sleepy quick. So you got to be aware of those things also. Anything else? Any other drugs that you guys have seen or talked
Mm-mm.
about or heard and anything like that?
No.
um, anesthesia, I think it was called.
Well, anesthesia is like when they put you to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that there's a kind of a doctor, so a specialist, and they put you to sleep so that they could perform whatever procedure they have to do, operation or whatever. But that's not something you just grab and just use. Anesthesia is not one of those things. Um, Anything else? Any other drug that you do you think we're leaving out?
Something you could get high on.
Uh, yeah, I guess.
Helium.
I guess so. They call it huffing,
Whippage.
whippets and huffing. You see, you knew something about drugs. I knew you knew something. You the undercover guy.
I saw
Uh,
on the news.
you see, that's what I'm talking about. You know about the whippets. You ever heard of whippets? You never heard of a whippet? You heard of a whippet
No.
before? Or huffing? I'm gonna tell you first with huffing. Huffing when I was young, I was into art, so we used to do. Well, let's not call it art. I was into graffiti. We used to paint trains and stuff like that. Let's keep it all the way real. And so we used to take spray paint, and that smell from that paint used to affect you. Um, so what people came up with is that they used to use a brown bag and they spray in the brown bag the spray paint, and then they smell it, and because it was just concentrated in that bag, they used to get some form of high out of it. So that's how huffing became. And then whippets is when they you ever know about that
Funnels.
that air that when you use to clean your computer, or when you it's like a little can of air they and you kind of clean the dust off. When you turn that upside down, it's a liquid in there. So people like basically inhale that because it's cheap. It's like a $3 $4 drug or something, and they get a rush to their brain, but that's also killing a lot of brain cells at the same time. So that's called a whippet. Um, I think I know too much about drugs. And I don't do drugs, so it's amazing. But yeah, those are whippets. You can't play with those either. But there's a whole bunch of stuff now. There's like edibles, like people make it look like the shape of a candy, and you think you're eating a chocolate bar, and all of a sudden you're eating something
A
different.
brownie.
I mean, there's brownies,
Oh,
there's mushrooms, there's shrooms,
yeah.
and those make you hallucinate. There's all types of crazy things out there.
My
So you
friend,
so
my
you have to
friend
be
had to
aware of
go
all
to
that
the
stuff.
hospital
Yeah,
for
for,
on Halloween.
for
Yeah,
something like that.
edibles.
Oh, edibles, yeah. And then they make them like the shape of like like what's the name of those candies? A little like little heart shapes or little rope candy or anything like that. So you have to be really aware, and you shouldn't be taking anything from a friend or stuff like that, because that friend could be thinking that they're giving you a candy and it could be an edible. And you're like, oh, I love these Swedish fish. And you bust down a pack and you don't know that it's edibles and there's some type of drug in there, and you didn't open that seal, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a real big problem, because it's going to taste just like candy, but the drug is infused inside the candy. So you got to be careful with those edibles. As you guys get older and you go to college and you go to places like that, you have to be really careful the types of people you're around, because these are items that are, you know, they could get their hands on quickly. And since it looks like a candy, it tastes like a candy, you know, you could get in trouble and overdose really, really fast on these types of candies. So you have to be aware of that. I mean, even now, like you said, your friend got, ate a candy. He thought he was eating a candy, he got an overdose. So, you have to be aware of all these things. I guess the moral of the story is don't take nothing for nobody. Eat an apple, and you gotta be careful with that too. Sometimes people inject stuff in fruits and all that stuff. I mean, if there's a way, there's a how. Uh, they do it all the time. There was a time when one of my friends went to a concert, and they were injecting the oranges. So people inject the oranges because you could take a fruit inside a concert, and all of a sudden you eating the orange, and you getting high. So you got to be aware of all these things. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. So this is why we try to talk about the drugs as open as possible, so that you guys are hopefully not familiar with it, but at least aware that these things are out there. I'm glad that most of you didn't have no tragic stories about someone using drugs and doing bad things. But those are not the stories that everybody has. At your age, you're 13, all 13, about
12.
12, 13. It's good that you don't have these things. Sometimes people lose their parents like this. Sometimes people lose their loved ones. So you know, the reason why we talk about it in Brent's Club is because of a gentleman that did have substance abuse problems, and cleaned his life up, and then in a moment of despair, he just broke down, used drugs again, and is no longer here. So this is why we have open conversations about drugs and different types of things that are out there in the streets. Um, I know it's kind of serious, so it's kind of hard to to go from a serious topic to just laughing or something. But we need to laugh up this. We need to make this podcast
Um,
a little more lively or something. Go ahead. What you got to say?
me?
Yeah, you said I thought you were gonna say something.
Nah.
I thought you were gonna end this off with a good story.
Little joke.
A little something. I don't know.
Joke. I'm not good with
Joke.
jokes.
We got knock jokes. No?
Knock knock.
Okay,
What
nothing. So we're gonna end like that. So how do you feel about and let's try to be honest. Would you guys ever think that you'll try some form of drug? No, shaking heads don't work here. So we gotta talk about
Maybe
it.
like painkillers.
Yeah, painkillers.
Well, painkillers, yeah, if it's prescribed by the doctor, but then you gotta be careful because if it says take one and you're taking four, it's just the same thing.
Fours.
So you gotta be aware.
Four?
Those painkillers affect people quickly because you feel like you need it because it relaxes you so much. I'm scared of painkillers. I think I'm scared more of painkillers than anything else because if you're really in pain and then you take one and then you're like, you know what? I don't even want the hint of pain. You just be like, I'm taking one before the pain comes. And then all of a sudden you be like, oh, you know what? The pain is not coming. I'm taking one to make sure the pain don't come. And all of a sudden, instead of taking the one or the two that the doctor says, you taking 4 a day, and 4 a day becomes 8, and all of a sudden you hooked on these painkillers. And then you go into the doctor and you're like, oh, I still got pain, and that's how it starts. And then you move on from this, and then you don't find the pain, you don't find the pharmacy open, and then you move on to something else. And that's unfortunately how it happens to a lot of people. You know, so even painkillers are scary to me. So keep away from the drugs. Hopefully, we won't have no bad stories to talk about. And if you'll come up with a new name or something new that you heard about, because there's a whole bunch of drugs out there in these rap songs. I'd be like, well, what is that? What they talking about? I don't know what this is.
Vigil, bitch.
Vigil bit?
Check. 1 2 1 2. Check.